You could tell two people to buy the same thing. Like if I said to my neighbor, buy gold, and I'm buying gold, we're gonna have completely different results, even though we both bought at the same time, because it's not about just learning from someone telling you, okay, buy here, do this, do that.
This is Bani, a prop firm trader who has secured over $1 million in funding. Born in Scotland with Pakistani roots, he went from meme coins to six-figure payouts.
So I was in a law firm. I made this guy a cup of coffee. He made me make him a cup of coffee. I went all the way upstairs. The guy goes, you didn't put it on a saucer plate, so go back down and put it on a plate and then bring it back up.
He lost it, made it back, lost it again. Warehouse shifts, Tesco breaks, margin calls on night shifts. Bani turned every L into a lesson.
What will make a trader successful is thinking like a robot. You're a human though, so you can't think like a robot as much as you delude yourself that you are one. So at least create a system.
Now he rotates accounts, manages risk like a hedge fund, and teaches students how to outthink the market, not outleverage it.
If you're doing something on the side, you need to treat trading as a side hustle to make a full-time income. That's how I see it.
This is experience, this is execution, this is Trade Bani.
Now I'm up $7,300, but I'm up $5,000 from equity. So if I close right now.
Bani, thank you for coming on the podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Amazing. So if someone were to come click on this conversation today and they're going to wonder what value they're going to get from this conversation, what would you directly tell them?
I would say that you would learn through years of losing. People only look at what you post on Instagram. If I'm to post something tomorrow or today, like a payout, they'll look at that as something that they can achieve tomorrow. But what people don't see is all of the losses that you actually take to get there. So I'd say there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I'd learned by losing, and there's a lot of things I learned through experience. There's some things, obviously, in trading that you can't simply teach. One thing I heard a long time ago, and it was really good, I always think about this. You could tell two people to buy the same thing. Like if I said to my neighbor, buy gold, and I'm buying gold, we're going to have completely different results, even though we both bought at the same time, because it's not about just learning from someone telling you, okay, buy here, do this, do that. If you don't have the right experience in trading, no matter if you buy the right pair, if you do the right thing, you have the right model that a mentor taught you, you're still going to lose. Because when I bought gold, I accepted the loss as a trader because I've seen 100 losses, 1,000 losses. But my neighbor hasn't seen that. So as soon as price starts dipping for a little bit, he's out. 2 years later, you ask, what happened to your gold buy? Oh, bro, I seen it dip, I exited. This is how trading works.
Well, yeah, I'm super excited to talk about trading with you. For those that don't know, of course, you are a funded trader with over $1 million in secured fundings. Mm-hmm. But before we get into trading, I kind of want to get to know your background and origin. So you're someone that grew up in Scotland with Pakistani origins.
Yep.
How did the culture and your environment shape your perspective towards money and success?
I think it's interesting because I've seen both sides. Obviously, majority of my friends were and are like white people. I grew up like there was like probably 5 to 6 other Asian kids in my whole school, or in my year anyway. So it was like very small community. So I got on with everyone. Like, I mean, that's all I knew. I hadn't really ever been to Pakistan either until I was like 8, maybe. I went for a month. So your whole life you've been to your motherland, or your the origin of your family like a few times. So like that's basically all I knew. But at the same time, I seen the work ethic that the people of my community had as well. So I kind of like took all the experiences that I seen from both sides and tried to think what's good for me. So I've seen my dad working very hard, my granddad working very hard, because my granddad came to the UK as an immigrant, and he had to work like twice as hard as a lot of people to even get the same opportunity. So I would always think about these things. Same with my dad as well. I would think about these things and I was like, I can't fail because I've seen how hard these people have sacrificed everything so that we can have a better life and that we can prosper. So that's probably where a lot of this came from for me, that you don't want to mess up the opportunity that someone else has given you. And anytime I was wasting time when I was younger, I had periods of wasting a lot of time. But that's why I think I would say I'm still quite young, but I started really young because it was always on my mind that this is like for a greater cause.
And how did you discover trading? Why didn't you go to school or college?
Yeah.
I don't know if you went to college or not, but why did you choose to pursue trading over, e-commerce and stuff like that?
Funnily enough, I looked at e-com as well. So I finished high school. I had decent grades. They were okay. I didn't put that much effort into my exams, which is obviously, now that I look back, it's funny because I could say, well, it doesn't really matter. But it's still a good thing to put time into these things, because people would say, well, it doesn't really matter because of where you got to. But actually, just in general, doing things that you don't like to do as I grow up is actually very good for you. So if you're in school and you don't like to study, but you do it anyway because you know that this could be beneficial for me, or just exercising discipline, you don't want to study but you do it anyway, these are really good habits. But I couldn't think of a career, a proper academic career. We would do career days as well, like where the teachers would ask, and they would make you write your CV, and we have something called UCAS, which is like the application for university. So they would kind of tailor it to people and help you pick. Some kid would say, I want to be a dentist, or I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. And they would basically build your career based off that. Okay, if you want to be a doctor, then you need to pick these subjects for your exams and do this. But for me, I was freestyling. I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to do business. But the thing with business is there's 1,000 businesses. So what business do you do? That's what my problem was. I knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial, but I had no idea what it would be at that time. So I was wasting my time instead. In Scotland, it works like this. You leave high school. If you have very good grades, you can go straight to university. And if you have decent grades, you can go to college, which then you would do like a 2-year program. And then you would get into the second year of uni and then just finish uni as well with the other uni kids. So either way, you'd either go to college or uni. What happened with me is I decided I don't want to do anything academic. I'm going to get an apprenticeship. I didn't have a passion in it. I just had nothing else to do. It's like, what else am I going to do? I can't just sit at home all day now. All the kids my age are either at uni or they've got like part-time jobs or full-time jobs or something. So I'll get an apprenticeship. So I got an apprenticeship and I lasted there for a month. So that's what happened to me. And it's actually a very funny story, but this is probably the reason why I decided that actually I need to work hard in life. Because reality hits you when you're a kid. Reality doesn't hit you because you can get away with putting in like half effort. Nothing's really going to smack you in the face till you get older. So when I was a kid, like if I was to dodge school, which sometimes I would do, sometimes I wouldn't show up. I would be very late all the time. Because there was no consequences. Apart from, okay, I'd get told off. But that was it. Right, so you push boundaries, and that's kind of what it was for me, like growing up, just pushing boundaries as much as I could. But then when reality hit is then, because now I'm actually 18, everyone's at uni or college, and I've got an apprenticeship, and now I just got fired. So the guy that I was working for, and I'll tell you a funny story, but I was meant to be doing this apprenticeship where I can like learn transferable skills. That's what they'll say, like, oh, you'll learn skills, you can take it to another industry or whatever. But basically they would just make me do like he would make me make him tea, and then I'd have to go upstairs. This is the worst thing ever. So I was in a law firm, but I made this guy a cup of coffee. He made me make him a cup of coffee. I went all the way upstairs. He had a guy in the room and they were having a meeting, and then the guy goes, you didn't put it on a saucer plate, so go back down and put it on a plate and then bring it back up. So I brought the coffee upstairs, and then I had to go back down just to put it on a plate and take it back up. And I was like, what? Like, is this guy actually serious? And then there's another time the printer broke. That's obviously not my job, but the guy's like, fix the printer. And I was like, I'm not sure how to fix the printer. He threw the instruction manual at me and said, fix it. And then after that, this was like, I'm thinking this is ridiculous, because I felt like I'm getting bullied by this guy. But I couldn't leave. I had no option, because if I leave, I have to go home and tell my parents I have no job. So I'm stuck now. But thankfully, he fired me like a week later anyway. So this is kind of what happened. I would have wanted to leave, but I felt trapped, because like, if I do leave, then what have I got left? So I had no other choice. After that, I've left. Now I haven't enrolled in college either, because I thought I'll go to an apprenticeship. So I've missed the college date to get in. I've missed the uni date to get in. I put all my eggs into this apprenticeship I don't even want to do, and now I don't have that either. So I've got nothing. So I was like, okay, I'll help my dad. At least that way I'm helping my dad, and also I can do something instead of not sitting in the house, because I missed uni and college and everything. So I'm helping my dad, and this is kind of where I really learned discipline. So I didn't have discipline to this point. And at that time, when you're a kid, you'd kind of blame your elders for teaching you discipline. But when real life hit me, even then I was like, I'd hate waking up, and I'd hate doing something repetitively, and I didn't like it. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here either, because I'd wake up every morning so I'd wake up at like 6:45, 7 o'clock, have to leave the house. It's always so cold in Scotland, so at this time it's like 7:30. We'd leave the house, it's freezing. We would drive there, get there for 8. I'd work all the way from 8 to 6 p.m. Then it's still freezing, get home for 6:30, and I'd just like fall asleep. And I was doing this 6 days a week before I say it. I had no problem with this, but just naturally, when you're working with your family, you're not going to get paid the same that you would if you are, having an actual job. But I was fine with it because I'm helping. So that's fine. At the time, I'm kind of thinking like, since I'm not making that much, I do need to also think about my future. Right now I'm helping, but what can I do? So I applied for college this time, and I was thinking, what do I even study in college now? And I didn't really know what to do. But one thing that I was very good at in school was writing and talking. So journalism, I was really good at that. I studied like modern studies, I studied politics, I studied English, and I was good at these subjects. So I was like, okay, fine. I know I'll be good at it, so I'll do it. So I did that. I studied there. It was meant to be a 2-year course, but I'll get into what happened. So this is what I ended up doing. So now I'm doing college, and at the time, to support my studies so I can like afford to even like take the train to college and, pay for my phone contract and things like that. I got a job retail in Tesco, which is like a popular supermarket. Getting a decent wage. I'm going there 3 days a week, college 3 days a week. So that's 6 days of my week. We've got 1 day off. Because I was doing journalism, naturally I started writing. And because I already said I had an interest in business, I decided to make my projects about business. So I stumbled across like crypto heavily at that point, and I decided I wanted to write an article about it. This is where everything changed, because then I would look into what's happening with the stock market, what's happening with crypto, and then I kind of got obsessed with that instead, because that's kind of what I wanted to do anyway. I would write articles about it for my assignments, and then at one point I kind of thought, if these guys can do it, why can't I do it? So I started really getting obsessed with it, and I'm looking at crypto videos every single day. I really want to invest a lot of money into it, but I obviously can't at that time because I don't have that much money to invest. I'm a student. 2020, this is 2020. I'm really looking at this, and I think towards the end of 2020, I started to invest small amounts, which nothing really ever happened with, because you're not making much with £50. So 2021 came, and I believe that's the year of the Wall Street bets situation, and GameStop.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I remember I didn't know what leverage was. So I opened up an account, and I was like, yeah, let me do this. This is going to make me rich. I put in as much as I could. I think it was like £300 maybe. And I just blew it instantly. And I was like, what just happened here? So that obviously blew my morale quite a lot. So I'm thinking, stocks, what is this? I'm researching it. I'm like, surely it can't be like this. And the first time you look at a chart, it's like rocket science.
It's for a foreign language.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Egyptian tombs or something.
100%.
Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't even figure out what anything meant. I don't know what a candlestick represents. I know nothing. But which is why I don't like to give people advice like people DM me all the time, where do I go to learn? And I don't want to plug myself, right? And say, oh yeah, come learn from me, because everyone's going to say the same thing, right? However, I can't tell you what I did, because they say, okay, well, where did you learn? I learned by losing money, because I just put money in an account and just lost it. And then what happened again, now it's like, okay, this GameStop thing just blew me out the water. At the same time, I'm researching crypto. So I started to trade crypto. The first wave of meme coins was in 2021, actually, where people would just build meme coins. Obviously, it became even more popular in 2024, like huge meme coins. But 2021, this was happening as well. So I was trading crypto here and there because I don't have that much money. I can't really do much anyway. But this is one day where I actually made my first proper gain. So I put $300 into a meme coin. And the reason it was even $300 was because that was all I had left in my Binance account at the time anyway. So I was like, okay, I'll just put $300 in this meme coin. And the next day I'm at this beach with my friends. And me and my cousin both did it together. So I'm with my friends and my cousin calls me and he's like, bro, have you seen this? I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm out right now. He's like, check it right now. So I'm up 3,000 and my cousin says he's going to hold the position. And me, I wanted to close because I was like, 3,000, I'm just going to close. I'm going to take it. I was like in this guy's Discord and he was like telling everyone buy, buy, buy. But I was one of the lucky ones because when I was trying to exit, they were like telling everyone to stay in and they were saying no. So this is when they started doing like celebrity endorsements and they were like getting like Akon to make a video on Instagram saying buy the coin and stuff. That was like, no way am I staying in this right now. So I exited. But the people that did actually decide to stay in because they seen these celebrity endorsements, they probably lost everything or whatever they put in. So I just seen it like completely differently. I'm not staying in. I know what's being done right now. I can just tell. And also because I've never seen that amount of money in my life, I was fine to take $3,000. So that's what I did. And I was like, you know what? I've never had this much money in my life. At least if I have 3,000, okay, cool. It can go up to 10,000, fine. But if I have $3,000, then I can maybe start trying to trade properly because I've got 3,000 now. Instead of keep putting £100 in, I've got 3,000. Maybe I can like try and use risk management because now there's a little bit of money to use. So that's kind of how that happened for me. That's how I got into trading. And everything from there was like happened much later. But that was like my first bit of success, which was luck, complete luck. Just being in a weird environment, looking at meme coins. It was not what I did, which blew my mind. I didn't think I was a genius, but seeing the money made me realize that there is something else out there.
So you made a quick meme coin pump.
Yeah.
Made $3,000, and now you want to start taking trading seriously.
Yeah.
What coins were you looking into when it comes to crypto?
Yeah.
Trading seriously, and how'd you learn your crypto edge strategy?
Yeah. So at the time, I would look at the coins with the most volume on Binance at the time. So there was like loads at the time. It was like FTM. There was like obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, Matic. There was like loads of these coins. I wasn't like focusing on one at the time. I would just look at what had a lot of volume in the last 24 hours. And I would at the time, I mean, now my edge is completely different to my edge then. So I'd like laugh at the way I was trading then. So it's funny, but somehow it was okay. Like I didn't even see it as this, but I had somewhat risk management, but it just wasn't like, there was nothing planned really. So I'd look at like 1 minute sweeps and I would wait for price to like break out on the 1 minute chart, and then I would enter and I'd place my stop just at the bottom of the 1 minute range. And if price was to go any lower, I wouldn't do anything. If price was to go higher, I might scale in. So it was like, it was a very underdeveloped strategy, which I came up with literally just by watching price and thinking, okay, let me do this. And because I kept losing, it started to develop a little bit more each time. So like, okay, I've seen this happen. Before this, I wasn't trading leverage. It was just, I put $3,000 and it was spot trading. But then one day, I'm in my bed at night and I remember seeing the leverage option on Binance and I was like, you know what? There's a futures, Binance futures. Like, maybe if I've only got 3,000, if I trade futures, maybe I'll actually make a lot more money. And before this, it was maybe like 2 months before this, I had had most of my money in Bitcoin. This must have been 2021. Yeah, it was. There was some like flash crash overnight on Bitcoin. I don't know what happened, but I lost like a lot of it overnight. And I was wondering, oh my God, like what am I supposed to do now? And at the time I was going on a few day holiday with my friends to London, which is London's obviously not that far from Scotland. So we'd got like a 4-hour train. But in order to pay for the hotel, I didn't have any money apart from the money that was in my crypto account. So I had to actually withdraw the money to pay for the hotel.
That's the worst.
So yeah.
That's the worst.
So now I have nothing in my crypto either, yeah, because I spent it there. So when I came back, this was in the summer. So I've finished college now. I decided to work a warehouse job for 2 weeks. This was in Asda warehouse. They'd pay quite a bit of money actually for like the time. So I worked there for 2 weeks, 5 days a week, and it's like something they call the back shift, which is like the whole day shift from 2 to 10. And I think I made maybe £700 to £800 from doing that. And right after the second week I quit because because this is actually before Tesco started called and was like, oh, we've got a better job. It was that money. That's when I thought, okay, now I'm going to trade futures because I've got a few £100. Let me see what I can do with this. I remember going in my first trade with 20x leverage, and I don't know how beginners just get luck. Cause I just went green, and the next one I went in and it just went green as well, and I was like, what's going on? So in that week I flipped $300 to $2,000 from just basically going in 20x leverage, exiting and doing it again and again. And I think that money went as fast as I made it. Like I just blew it.
You got God mode.
Yeah.
God mode mentality.
It just completely, I don't know what happened. I can't remember. I think it was at a shift. I was at work one day. And I remember we used to get emails from Bani saying that your margin is like you're over margin. And I remember like getting that email. I was like, oh my God. I went to the toilet during my shift in Tesco just to check my phone. I'm looking at the position. I'm losing so much money. I'm down like over $1,000 right now. So these 2 times, really, when I made the first 3,000, when I made the second 2,000, although I lost all of it, I just kept learning something different every time. So the first time I learned, like, okay, this is how trading works. I know how to buy and sell now. I understand what futures is. Then I come back to it. I understand kind of a strategy, but I don't really do risk management properly. So as time goes on, I'm developing a little bit more and a little bit more. But it came to the end of 2021. It was like, I'll make my final attempt, really. And this time, let me try and actually do it properly. Let me try and actually focus on risk management and see where I can take it. So that time, that was my first 5-figure month from trading, although it was still nothing like it is now. And definitely, I definitely over leveraged to an extent, but I didn't believe I was at the time because I was really young. It's actually something like, I say this all the time. If I had to go to my students and they show me a winning trade and I say that's not a good trade, they won't understand why I'm saying it's not a good trade because they won. So this is how bad behavior can sometimes get rewarded in trading, because you could make a bad decision but actually profit off of it. So you could take a trade that's not in your system and still win. So you'd think that you made the right decision because there's money at the end of it. So even in that time, although I felt so good about it, I ended up probably losing quite a bit of it at some point. But at the time, this was a 5-figure month and I felt like over the moon. I made my first withdrawal ever from trading, because before this, I was just making money and losing it, making money and losing it. This time, I actually made a withdrawal. I bought some clothes. I used to always, like in high school, people were always wearing like these designer sweatshirts and I never had one. I was like, that's the first thing I'm going to buy. So I bought 2 of them. What a waste of money. What a waste of money. But I just thought at the time, yeah, this is like, I just wanted to treat myself in a way. But that's where this all started. And then it was 2022 where I found out prop firms.
So you had your first 5-figure month trading with crypto.
Yes.
And then you discovered prop firms.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to take the route of prop firms?
Obviously, I didn't know this at the time. But when I started making futures, like trading futures, people used to say to me, because I started posting sometimes on Instagram and whatever at the time, because I'm young. And when you're young, you want everyone to know what you're doing. But when you get older, like now, I'm a bit older, I don't care if people know what I'm doing or not. But at the time, you're like, you make money in crypto, you just think it's so cool. So I posted it, and a lot of people were saying like, this is haram, against your religion to trade. But I was like, what do you mean? I didn't know this. It was one of those things, you know, when like all the Muslims will relate to this. You know, when when there's something that's haram, and you're like, you read the packet eventually, and you're like, oh, this is haram, and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't read that. But then you have to leave it because you know it's wrong. I was like, oh, this is working for me, but I have to leave it now. And so it was like a dilemma, but I knew I can't trade it because there's interest involved. But when I was young, I wasn't looking into that. When I realized, okay, let me stop. So then when I heard about prop firms, I was like, okay, well, there's another opportunity. And prop firms is demo money. There's simulated funds. So the transaction doesn't even happen. So that's when I started looking into prop firms, and I was like, this is probably where I should go now, because I'm not going to trade futures anymore, because I don't want to trade the leverage. The interest. So that's kind of what happened. But also another point of it, apart from that being the main reason, was the fact that when you're trading futures or any type of personal capital, it's your own money on the line. I had a 5-figure month, but when I was losing a trade, I would also lose my own money as well. So since I had a 5-figure month, but I'm still like inexperienced compared to the fact that now I've been doing it 5 years. I don't know as much as I do now. And at that time, me losing like $1,000 is still a lot of money. I don't have that risk. Although I would try and make more than that, and I was starting to do well, it didn't make sense for someone in my position. You shouldn't be trading personal capital if you don't have like quite a substantial amount to actually lose. And when you're young and you don't have that risk tolerance, it is going to be a recipe for disaster. I never spoke about this on any podcast or anything that I did, or even to my students or social media at all. But when I made my first withdrawal, it's so weird how life like hit me, because I thought I was over the moon. But the same month I got hit with a letter for debt that I didn't know I had. So I had owed £3,000 now. So it felt like, now I bought designer clothes, I went on like a holiday with my friends, and now I've got a letter of debt. So it's like everything that I've made is gone now anyway, because I'm young and I don't know how to. I've never had this much. I never knew what it was like to make more than like a normal wage ever. When you're at that age, you need to learn by doing the wrong thing and having and making mistakes. Because I made all the mistakes then, that's why I think now that although I'm still young, I feel like I've made all those mistakes. Because when I was 19, I was already trying to like trade large amounts of money. Now I'm completely different. I don't think the same about money. I don't have the same relationship with money. I don't look at it the same as I did then. But back then, I kind of had that time to just lose and lose and lose. So when I heard about prop firms, I was like, this is the best opportunity. How is it possible? You know, when you first hear about prop firms, it's like, it sounds like a scam. How do you pay £500 to get a 100k account? That makes no sense. When I first seen that, I was just shocked. Like, there's no way that this is actually a thing. And that's where I decided I need to put my attention into this now. And I spent a few months learning to actually put my strategy into being developed for a prop firm, because you really need to develop your edge to suit a prop firm, because it's completely different from trading live capital. And even so, I'd say what I learned in 2022 when I was trading prop firms was developed more in 2023, which was developed more in 2024, which is developed more now, and it probably be developed more next year as well, because that's how a trader's journey is. People will see a 5-figure month this year, but they won't see my first 5-figure month that after that I had debt, and then I didn't know what I was doing, and then I decided, okay, like, should I trade prop firms? Should I do this? And I'm losing money. They don't understand that you have been in this position multiple times. You've been in a trade that's been floating. You didn't close it. You've watched it go against you. You've blown an account so many times. It's being in the same situation so many times that creates like discipline, because it's not about wanting to win anymore. It's like having to win, and you've just seen it so many times. I trade a swing model, as I said, and it's funny because I sometimes don't see it in the perspective of a beginner anymore, because it's hard. back then I'd be able to think like a beginner, like, oh, I know what he's thinking. But now I can't think like a beginner. It's not possible to think like a beginner because I've seen this happen so many times. So the reason I say that is because some of my students, they'll say like, bro, we've been in this trade for hours. It's just chopping around. It's doing nothing. Like, I'm in drawdown. He's getting upset. He's getting scared. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? It's just a trade. But then like, actually, I was like him too. Exactly like him. But the only reason that I'm different is because I've seen that exact situation 1,000 times. I've been in drawdown 1,000 times. I've lost a trade 1,000 times. So that's what makes a trader, just being in that situation. But I know I went off topic. But yeah, prop firms, that's when I decided to trade them. And my edge was developed from there.
You actually didn't go off topic.
Yeah.
It's really impressive, your journey, hearing it. You kind of just experimented, and you learned from the school of hard knocks. And that's what kind of developed you as a successful trader.
Yeah.
Now you built your edge in crypto. You see the prop firm space. You want to tackle the prop firm space. You have to completely change your strategy. Can you kind of break down in simple terms what your go-to trading strategy is for prop firms and how you developed it over the years?
Yeah, I came from a swing model. Like in 2021, it wasn't a swing model. In 2022, I started developing a swing model, which I also kind of went off track with myself in 2022. I was good. I would say like I was still good at what I was doing, but I also listened to the noise a lot because the trading industry is very noisy. You know, you will see 100 people trying to convert you to their strategy, which is so funny. This guy is like, this works better, this works better, this works better. So I kind of listened to a lot of the things that I heard, and I seen stuff on Twitter, watched people on YouTube, and I was just trying to keep up. So I started from the swing strategy, and then I went to a scalping strategy, which I don't know why I did it, but I'm very glad I did it because I understood now why I would never do that again. So it was very good that I had that learning curve as well. Before I say what I trade, I'll say what I wouldn't trade, because the human mind can only make a certain amount of decisions. Okay, if I am to say the overall bias that I have on the day is buys, okay, I'm looking at buys for the full day. I don't want to put my whole bias into a position that might last 10 minutes, because this 10-minute window or this 10 pip stop loss, 5 pip stop loss on a 1 minute time frame is not reflective of the movement of the full day. The day could still be buys, but I've got such a small room for error that even if the day is a buy, I've still taken a loss. Now I'm going to finish the counter argument as well, because someone will argue now, well, that's fine if you took a loss, risk management, take the next position. But that's where I go back into the psychology of things. If I'm going to make one emotional decision in the day and take a loss on, okay, I knew it was going to be buys today, for example. I've taken a loss on the day, but I still know it's buys. So I take another position, and this time I've done the same thing. 5 pip SL, it still buys. Prices faked me out, went 6 pips lower, and now it's went 90 pips higher for the rest of the day. Although it sounds good, in my opinion, it's all hypotheticals. People like to dream in trading. They like to have an ego about the market and understand, because technically you knew what price was going to do, but no one knows what price is going to do. So for me, it was taking my ego out. I used to think I know where price is going today, so let me place an entry based off of knowing where price is going. Nowadays, I have a good idea where price is going, and I have a very large room for error. If you have a larger room for error, you have a very easy chance of actually winning. Just anyone that's listening to this podcast, I just want them to imagine a scenario where you have a buy scenario on the day, you think price is going to go higher, and you've got a 30 pip or 40 pip gap for your stop loss. You've got room, and you've got, like, let's say, for example, a 30 pip target as well. So this is your entry, 30 pips, you're going to get stopped out, 30 pips for you to hit take profit. Everyone can answer unbiased the fact that you have a much higher chance of winning that trade because the room for error is very low. If your bias is right and price goes up for today, you win. Because price dips 10 pips lower, goes 10 pips higher, 10 pips lower, 5 pips lower, 30 pips higher, and then another 10 pips higher, 20 pips higher. That's the day gone. It didn't matter what happened in all of the noise. You knew that price was going to go higher. It went lower, you're in the trade. It went higher, you're still in the trade. So for me, it was about not focusing on the entry anymore, focusing on the bias. And if my bias is right, I need to replicate that in a trade. And I would rather have the right bias and win than have the right bias and somehow lose. That's why I don't like lower time frame. Because what it's going to do to your emotions over the long period of time, you had the winning bias of the day, but you still lost. That's why I don't like it, because for me, it's hypotheticals. And people that sell this kind of, in my opinion, dream, I don't really agree with it, because if your student is learning from you, he's someone that's come into the market. Why? To make money. So does this person have the same sort of experience to lose 4 trades in a row like you do? No. I would like to have a trading strategy that has a lower frequency but a higher win rate. I don't mind if I don't get 6 risk to reward, 7 risk to reward. However, if my bias is right, I want to win. If my bias is wrong, I lose. And I can accept that, because I have to drop 30 pips to lose the full trade. And by the time that happens, there's probably not another opportunity on the day for me anyway. Instead of having the hypotheticals, as I said, the first guy, if he loses the first trade, it's on a 1 minute time frame. He can easily try and take another position today. Whereas if I lose, prices move 30 pips lower, I can't really take another opportunity in the day. The whole daily candle's flipped now. So for me, it's not just about technicals. They ask me to explain my trading strategy, but I can't say, oh yeah, it's like buy off a fair value gap and then do this. It's actually more of a mental thing for me. It's probability, and firstly looking at, is the weekly candle going to trade bullish or bearish? Is the daily candle going to trade bearish or bullish? If I think the weekly candle is going to be a buy, I need to replicate that as a trade. So if that means I need to have a 50 pip stop loss and hold it out for a 100 pip move, 150 pip move, fine. But I'd rather at the end of the week see, okay, the week was completely wrong and I lost the trade, then the week was right, that's all I needed, boom, I've won. I have to focus on the 1 minute and look at the entry and lose 7 times. If I lost 7 times in the process of one easy bias, my psychology's down the drain and I've probably blown an account. So it's a very low pressure environment that I've created for myself, that I think it's a simple thing. Humans can't make decisions properly. They think they can. And people have turned trading to a game. They've made it into like a Call of Duty lobby. Where it's like 1 minute trade. Let's get in like sniper entry. What? I don't understand what that like. And I feel as if I can talk about it because I had experience looking into it. People might argue, okay, maybe you're saying this because you lost at it. But I actually was okay at it. But for me, I'd rather make more money. And this makes a lot more for me. I'm not saying no one will be profitable with that. I think some people will be. However, whatever's easier for your psychology is probably better for you to trade. People say that the success, well, what will make a trader successful is thinking like a robot. You're a human though. So you can't think like a robot as much as you delude yourself that you are one. So at least create a system that aids you in a way. Because I can't say, oh yeah, I'm like, I think like a robot. I'm trading a 1 minute strategy. There's 3 opportunities in the day. How did I know that the third one was gonna win? I don't know it's going to win. People delude themselves into believing it. They've lost 100 times. I'd rather take one shot. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. It was very easy for me to win because if the day was a buy, I probably won because they had wiggle room. The day was a sell, then I lost. Fine. I can move on. The next day I come back at it. Predicting a daily candle, everyone will argue, is it easier to predict the next daily candle or the next 1 minute candle? A lot easier to predict the next daily candle. So why not make that the basis of your trade rather than flicking through the 5 minute chart and losing 10 times? Because it isn't just all about, like enter off a fair value gap and do this. It's definitely, for me, it's a lot more of a psychological thing. People talk about psychology and trading, and then they talk about strategy. But for me, they both have to be intertwined. Your model has to ingrain and join together with your psychology, and they should like stick together. If you have a model that you say, trading, psychology is so important in trading, but then you trade a 1 minute and lose 5 times a day. How could you say that? Why do people say that if their own model doesn't even really align with what's better for the human mind? I'd rather take 1 loss and call it a day than take 5 losses and then say, okay, but if I take 1 6-hour, I'll be back to break even and have 1 hour in profit.
Yeah, so I won't go into any more confirmations about your trading strategy. You're pretty much, the basis of it is you find your bias on the weekly and you make your moves. And swing trading, I definitely think, gives you the best edge for prop firm trading.
Yeah.
And off camera, we're talking about, your profitability when it comes to trading prop firms.
Yeah.
Could you explain to the audience how many accounts you're trading with? What's been your consistent revenue with prop firms, if you're fine to share that on camera?
So I've been consistently doing between 20 to 30k months. I understand what someone's going to think now. Like, what do you mean trading? How could it be that consistent? It's trading. Are you not going to have like a 5k month, then a 15k month, then a 30k month? The way I do it is very different to a lot of other people. And it's not something I want to be like, yeah, everyone copied me. I don't care about like getting praise or anything, but I was heavily promoting this thing, and I made this whole thing on TikTok like about a year ago, and I was telling people how to trade prop firms in like a smart way. So saying rotate your account. So for example, I just took a win on my account, which on 3 accounts. Now I'm leaving them 3 accounts, okay? Because why am I going to lose a payout when the payout's ready? As long as I wait 2 weeks from today, I'm making that 13k. So I'm gonna switch to another account now that has not had a winning trade today. That means if I lose my next trade, I don't lose these payouts, I lose it on a fresh account and lose nothing. This is how I keep my profits. So again, if I've just had a 13k day, if I lose my next trade, I still have had a 13k month so far. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I won't affect those payouts at all. So I'll lose on a fresh account and I'll win on a fresh account. And then I'll continue trading that one, or I'll rotate it. So I lost one account, I trade on one account, so I'm down 1%. Go to another fresh account, I win or lose, but if I win, I've made straight 2%. If I did it on the drawdown account, I'm getting out of drawdown. I get to a point where I've tried to get a profit split on all of my accounts, and if at that point all of the ones are in profit and there's a few left in drawdown, now I'll focus on the ones in drawdown and recover them. But the way I do it, I rotate so that I don't lose any payouts that are already due.
So you've been profitable now for many months. It sounds like almost a year now from prop firm trading. Is a majority of your income coming just through prop firm trading?
Yeah, definitely. My whole lifestyle is lived off of trading, 100%. I obviously do the mentorship, but the mentorship is something that, like, I'm not going to say like, oh, I don't do anything with the mentorship, but I can say for a fact, I don't really pay myself out of the business. Of course I will one day, but everything I do on a day-to-day basis, like if I'm going for my rent, my flights, going home, coming back, food, everything for my family, whatever, that's all from my trading money. Although I'm like doing the mentorship, as I said, I probably will use it one day. I'll buy myself something nice, but for now, I don't actually take a profit from it because that's just the way I'm doing my business in my head. I have a few of my friends that work with me, and like I like it's a team now. So even if I don't do it for me, like I make sure the team has everything, and I'll use the mentorship to put back into the mentorship as well. So I'll buy like equipment. I try to get as much as I can for the students as I possibly can, like, you know, like office costs. That's one thing I want to do in the future. Like I want some nice place to work from. I think that's like a really important thing for your mindset. I'm not telling everyone stop everything you're doing, become a trader, and then run a mentorship. But I would recommend, if anyone's wondering or asking, okay, will you do something? I would recommend everyone to do something on the side as well. Everyone should do something on the side with your trading. Why is that important? Even if I had a part-time job, even if I had a job, even if I was running a secondary business, I would still do something apart from trading, because it's not the money, it's the time. If I didn't do social media, I wouldn't be here on this podcast. That's a fact. So if I wasn't on this podcast right now, and I was at home and I didn't have any students to talk to, I didn't have any videos to make, I didn't have a secondary business to run, what would I be doing on a day with no trades? I would be sitting looking at the wall and probably end up forcing a trade and losing money. It's not the money that helps if you're doing something on the side. You need to treat trading as a side hustle to make a full-time income. That's how I see it, right? It is my full-time income, But I don't look at the chart 24/7. If anyone is watching this and they go to university or they go to college or they have a job, keep doing what you're doing. 100%. You can definitely make trading work, and you probably will make trading work a lot more with something else on the side. When it comes to the point that you've got like a full-time income off trading, someone might say, okay, well, now I'm making 20K a month of trading. Should I still have like a job? Well, yeah. Or maybe then you could start like a secondary business, but do something, because you can't do nothing. It will definitely affect your trading.
You have a mentorship. I think mentorship's super important when it comes to developing your edge in trading. I think learning from people, I'm super pro with it. You have a mentorship called 5GM. Being someone who's so involved in prop firms, I kind of want to know, like, what are the best prop firms to trade on? What are red flags you should look for when it comes to prop firms, right? Keep an eye out, because I know I've heard stories of people not getting payouts and stuff going into this, and there's a lot of shady prop firm in the industry.
Yeah, that's right.
So can you kind of give some knowledge about the prop firm industry?
So FTMO is the biggest and the best. Why? Because they are very fast with payouts. They're very, very unlikely to actually deny or ban you unless you've genuinely done something wrong. So I know when someone says I got banned off FTMO, I'm like, well, you probably full ported the account yourself. No one forced you to do that, right? So I would say FTMO is the best. After that, I would say it's probably Alpha Capital Group. They're very fast with payouts as well. People have different opinions on every prop firm, but I do think it depends on the trader. Me personally, I've not had many problems with many prop firms. And I'll tell you something. The first thing that someone would say is, oh, it's because you're an influencer. You get influencer privilege. Funny. They could say that. That's fine. But a lot of people that trade the same model as me don't either. But that shows something. If you trade a model that's very hard to deny or ban, then why would you get denied or banned? There's going to maybe be a point where a firm will deny you, but you're more likely to get denied and banned when you're doing silly things. I wouldn't recommend going for insane payouts. I wouldn't recommend going for 50K payouts and things of the sort. Make 5K, 6K payouts on several different accounts, but you're more likely to have a sustainable career and not get banned if you're not doing something ridiculous. As a swing trader, it's impossible to not be sitting through a news event at some point. If I have a trade that's going to last me 3 days, in 3 days, there's definitely one news event, 2 news events. I have to be in a position during news. That's something I would say. Look at how the prop firm rules align with your strategy. If you're someone that doesn't trade news, then that's not going to affect you. If you're someone that is, that'll affect you. If you're someone that swings, maybe you want to find one with a swap-free account. But FTMO probably hits the nail for everything. Like I there's a swing account. I can close before, after, during news. I can enter whenever I want. I never really get denied a payout. Well, I've never been denied a payout. So, and I've never been put on a risk cap either. And I've got max allocation and I got scaled up. So I feel like people saying that it's like a skill issue. You probably just full ported, or I'm not saying that to be mean. I just genuinely, I don't believe in when people say all of this like risk stuff, and they wouldn't do it for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Obviously at some point maybe I'd get banned, I don't know. But at the moment this would be my like $40,000 in payouts just with FTMO, and not once have I been denied.
Do you think that the prop firm model is sustainable for the long term?
I would answer it by saying the prop firm model is built off of losers. The first thing I said in the podcast is you could tell 2 people to buy and someone's still going to lose. And the trade went up. Because no matter what happens, no matter what time, there's always going to be more losers than winners, because it's a lot easier to lose than win. I think the prop firm industry will exist because there's one thing I used to think, like, nah, if everyone gets as good as me, or like I used to see all my students passing and making payouts, and I was like, actually, I don't know. If these guys are all making payouts, then how am I going to get payouts? Are they going to just deny all of us? Then I looked at the sheer amount of losers. There's so many losers. Way more people will always lose in trading than win. No matter how much education. People used to say this silly thing all the time. It made me laugh. When people used to gatekeep ICT, they'd be like, if everyone's showing ICT, then everyone's going to know the algorithm. And then everyone's going to trade. And then how is that going to affect the market if everyone has the same? I was like, what are you talking about? Even if everyone has the same model, people will still execute it wrong and lose. So it doesn't even matter. And I don't even agree with the algorithm stuff anyway. So
What pairs are you focusing on when it comes to prop firm trading?
Euro USD and GBP USD, which is inversely correlated with the DXY, which is the US dollar currency index. I'm looking at if I would like the DXY to trade higher or lower on the day or the week. And based off of that, if DXY wants to go higher, I want to short Euro USD or GBP USD. What would make me pick Euro or GU is based off of strength. So as you've seen today, I took a GBP USD short. That's because Euro GBP was bullish. If Euro GBP is bullish, that means Euro stronger than the pound and pound is weaker than the Euro. Since I was shorting, GBP was the better short against DXY. And that's why, I mean, if you are to actually look at the chart of the day of today, you'll see today is the 2nd of July. So whenever you watch this, look at the 2nd of July, 2025, look at Euro GBP chart and look at the difference between Euro USD and the difference and GBP USD. Look at what one had more weakness and what one had a longer and more powerful bearish move is GBP USD. You'll figure that out by looking at Euro GBP, and maybe that's something you can add to your model.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have when it comes to prop firm trading?
I think the biggest misconception when it comes to prop firm trading is that it's like hit or miss. Like, oh, you'll have a good month and then you'll have a bad month. That's trading in general. But I think if you rotate your accounts and you do it how I do it and you aim for small payouts and you aim to continuously up your funding, you can consistently have 5-figure months. Definitely. There's definitely going to be a month where potentially you lost everything you took. Fair enough. If I was profitable for 10 months of the year and I didn't make a payout for 2 months, am I profitable? Yeah. So you could end your year with a very, very substantial amount if you focus on scaling. Don't focus on making a yearly salary off of a 50K account. Focus on getting a 50K account so that you can buy a 100K. When you got the 100K, try and buy a 200K. When you made a few withdrawals off of that, buy more 200Ks. But don't try to make 20K, 30K off of your 50K, 100K account. You want to keep scaling because the same trade that I took last year that would make me $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 will make me 10,000 plus now. That's the difference. Okay, I probably did get better because I've been doing it longer, but the model didn't really change. I didn't change. I just have more capital. So focus on the capital 100% and save yourself. Diversify your prop firms, aim for small payouts, and like you'll be able to see that this is definitely possible and anyone can do it. Hundreds of my students are funded, but out of that there's quite a lot of them that get payouts, and out of that there are quite a few that have become full-time traders and are doing what I'm doing, exactly what I'm doing.
Being someone that has withdrawn multiple 6-figure payouts from prop firms, if you're to go back in time and take your very first challenge, what would you do differently?
Understand that the prop firm model is designed for you to lose. You are not going to make a substantial amount when you're trading with such a scared mindset. You have to be fearless. The opposite side of fearlessness is recklessness. So you have to be exactly in the middle, not too fearful and not too reckless. You need to be like in the middle. So what is that? If the question is what should the person do like for their first ever prop firm challenge, I would say this is your roadmap. Buy a 10K, something that's not too expensive, something that like $80 to $100, I think. But the reason that you need to do this is because you need to fail to win. You demo trading for a year or 6 months is not going to put you even close to the amount of experience that someone has had from actually trading and losing. I say this to my students clearly. I'd rather you invest $25, $30, $40 and buy a 5K than demo test for 3 months, demo trade for 3 months. Yeah, demo trading's good and I would expect them to do it to an extent. But for 3 months, the amount of experience they'd gain from even just trying a prop firm challenge, a small one, is extremely life-changing actually, because the difference is when you're demo trading and you lose 2 trades in a row, what did that do for you? Nothing. You came back in. I was one of the conversations I had with my friend one day. I was teaching him how to trade like 2 years ago, and I was already trading prop firms at the time, and I'd been funded, I've made payouts, not to the extent that I have now, like 2 years later, but I'd already understood this. he was showing me that he was demo trading. He was like, bro, look at this trade I caught. It went all the way down to here and it went up, and I caught this trade. And I said, bro, you would have never actually taken that trade in real life. And he's like confused, like, what do you mean? I was like, because in real life, when real money's on the line, do you really think that you would have seen price go all the way that high, seen it come all the way lower, not close it, and then it went all the way up, and you, like, I was like, this is a hypothetical scenario. It's in your head. You really think that you would have held that on a live account? If you were floating $20,000 when price was at its peak, and then it came down and you're negative $10,000, and now it's up to $40,000, do you actually think that you would have held that? Demo trading for 3 months is not going to take you anywhere. Do it though, for a bit, a back test, then jump into trading prop firms, expect to fill your first one. And then after that, you'll have experience. Then I would try and, I would diversify my risk. I would buy, instead of buying a 200K, I would buy, let's say, 350Ks. So if you were to buy 350Ks, you're spending like, let's say $300 each for a 50K, so $900. If I was to buy 200K, I'd spend $1,000. With my 350Ks, I would have done the 10K first, like I said, and try to understand how to trade. Now with these 350Ks, my overall investment is $900. If I blow both of them, let's say, or two of them out of three, this is how you want to like scale up your trading. So if you have one 200K, you've got 10% of drawdown. Okay, if you've got 350Ks, you've got 30% of drawdown, because it's split into 3 different account sizes. So if I'm to risk 3% on account A and I lose the first trade, okay, I'm down 3%. If I then rotate to account B and I lose 3%, I'm down 3%. And then go to account C, I risk 3%, I make 2.5 R, I made 8%, I passed the challenge. Now you've got one that's past phase 1, you're into phase 2, you can easily try and pass phase 2, but you also have 2 accounts that are minus 3%. If you risk 3% one more time, you make a 2R, you're up 3% on one. If you lose the next trade on the account B, then that one's down minus 6%. In total, if you do it like this, there's a very high chance that you'd probably pass 2 or 3, all of them. Because you expected high risk, you definitely will perform better. I wouldn't recommend it to 1 minute traders though, because like 3% risk on a 1 minute is crazy. So definitely, like, I'm talking in my perspective. If I was doing my swing model, I'm trading once, twice a week, then this makes sense to me. What goes back to the rotation is obviously, like, if I was gonna lose a trade or take 2 trades in a row, let's say I said that I was gonna lose on account A, lose on account B, and then win on account C. Someone's gonna ask why. I'll tell you why. Because if you take the exact same thing and you go back to having one account, I said lose, lose, win. Account A, lose. Account B, lose. Account C, win. Now, if you take that same scenario on one account, so I lost 1, minus 3%. Lost 2, minus 3%, so minus 6. And I won plus 2R, plus 6%, I'm at break even. So you're break even if you have one account doing it. If you have 3 accounts doing it, minus 3, plus 6.5 or plus 8. You've basically cracked the code, how to pass prop firms, like, by doing it like that.
It's been a really amazing conversation, Bani. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And for sure, we got to bring you up for another podcast in the future and run a documentary.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, my pleasure.